Hi, everyone. This is Global Podcast, your window to the world. Breaking news, big ideas, your global hangout for what's happening now, and bold conversations. Wherever you are, we're bringing it to you. Let's get started.
Picture this, all right. Hundreds of millions of people right across India, lots in those rural areas especially, really struggling to get online. And then, up above, thousands of miles up, this whole network of satellites beaming down high-speed internet. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could this be the thing, the key to finally unlocking digital access for, a huge chunk of the population?
It really is a striking image when you think about it that way, isn't it? The scale of it, the potential impact. It's pretty hard to wrap your head around.
It is, and that's what we're diving into today. You've pulled together some really interesting stuff about Elon Musk, his Starlink project, and this whole push into India. So let's unpack it all. What are we hoping to get out of this deep dive then?
Well, hopefully by the end of this, we can really cut through all the hype and the noise and understand, the regulatory maze they've got to navigate, the sheer size of that market opportunity, and, let's be real, the very real challenges they're going to face. It's going to be a wild ride trying to understand what this could mean for India in terms of connectivity and growth.
Yeah, your research is our roadmap here, right? Gives us a solid starting point.
Absolutely. A really good foundation to build on, that's for sure.
Awesome. So, all right, where do we even begin with this? Let's start with the regulatory hurdles, right?
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it hasn't exactly been a smooth process for Starlink to, get the green light in India.
Yeah, no, not exactly. It's been a bit of a process. The key thing here is this thing called a GMPCS license. That stands for, get this, Global Mobile Personal Communication by Satellite.
Catchy.
Right. But basically, think of it as like the golden ticket. The permission slip Starlink needs to operate these, satellite internet services across the whole country.
So this permission slip, it sounds like they've been waiting a while for it, right? Like back to 2021 even.
Yeah, they hit a few snags early on, you're right. Like they started taking pre-orders before they had all the regulatory boxes ticked, which, well, you can imagine that didn't go down too well.
Yeah, I can see why that would cause some issues.
Exactly. And then they had to, issue refunds, which obviously slowed things down, caused some frustration, the whole 9 yards. But look, they put in their formal application late 2022, which shows, they're serious about India in the long term. They haven't given up.
So what's changed then? Because it seems like things have picked up speed recently, right? Like the process is moving again.
What's interesting here, the role that, top-level diplomacy has played. These recent talks between Prime Minister Modi and Elon Musk over in the U.S., that seems to have really, pushed things forward, given the approval process, a real jolt. Now we're hearing that the DOT, that's the Department of Telecommunications, the folks in charge of these approvals, are about to issue a letter of intent, or, a LOA, as they call it.
So that sounds like a big step, right? Getting closer to actually operating in India. But are there still hurdles, still things they need to sort out before it's a done deal?
Oh, absolutely. The Indian authorities, they want to make sure everything's above board, They've been asking for, and they're likely going to keep asking for, clarifications, especially about Starlink's shareholding structure. It's all about making sure they're playing by the rules, complying with all the local regulations, the operational conditions, that sort of thing. Those details, they all need to be ironed out before they get the full license, the final go-ahead.
Gotcha. So the regulatory stuff, hopefully that's all falling into place. But let's zoom out a bit. Why India, right? Why is this such a massive target for Starlink? We're talking over 700 million potential users, right? That's a crazy number.
Oh, it's huge, no doubt about it. And it's not just the population, right? That's a big part of it, but it's more than that.
What else is it then?
Well, it's about the connectivity gap. There are a lot of people, particularly in these rural areas, they just don't have access to reliable, high-speed internet, the kind you and I take for granted. Traditional broadband infrastructure, the stuff with the cables and all that, it just haven't reached these places. So, you've got this massive need, this lack of access that needs addressing. And that's where Starlink comes in.
Yeah, right. So it's not just the numbers. It's about actually making a difference, bringing these communities online. What about the economics of it all? How could this level of connectivity impact India's economic growth? like in real terms?
Well, we're already seeing projections for India's space economy to grow, like we're around 6% every year, reaching, get this, an estimated $13 billion by 2025.
Wow, that's a lot of growth.
It is. And Starlink coming in, it could be a real game changer, especially for, sectors like education, healthcare, e-commerce, all that. Imagine artisans in remote villages. Suddenly they can connect with global markets directly. They don't have to go through those middlemen who, often take a big cut. That's a whole new level of economic opportunity right there.
Right, that direct access, that's a big deal.
Exactly. And you think about healthcare, right? Like remote clinics being able to do real-time consultations with specialists in the big cities. I mean, the possibilities, they're huge. It could transform how things work.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's easy to get excited about the potential here, but we got to be realistic too, right? It's not all smooth sailing for Starlink. There are going to be obstacles, right? Like, what about these security concerns we've been hearing about? Those seem pretty serious.
Yeah, no, they are. And it's a tricky issue, right? It's about balancing this, amazing technological advancement with national security concerns. And the Indian authorities, they've been pretty vocal about their concerns, especially when it comes to Starlink's links to U.S. intelligence agencies.
Right, and I'm guessing that makes them a bit nervous.
Exactly. It all boils down to, data sovereignty. Who controls the data, where it's going, who has access to it. If information is being routed through infrastructure outside of India, well, that raises questions, right? About surveillance, about national security protocols, all of that. And it's not just a Starlink issue, by the way. This is a common concern with any satellite-based internet service. So, they might get the license, but it might come with conditions, with ongoing oversight, to make sure everything's squeaky clean.
So even with a green light, it might not be a free-for-all. There could be some tight restrictions in place.
Okay, and then there's the cost, right? We've talked about that a bit. That initial outlay, something like $1,058,000 for that first year, that's not a small amount of money, especially for people in those rural communities we've been talking about.
It's not. And that's a major hurdle, right? Like Starlink offers this, high-speed, low-latency internet, which is amazing.
Hang on, low latency. I don't think I've heard that term before.
Oh, right, yeah. Basically, it means that, unlike that old satellite internet, the one that was super slow, Starlink, because they use all these low Earth orbit satellites, it really cuts down the time it takes for data to travel. So, you can do video calls, online gaming, all those things that just didn't work well with the old stuff.
Makes sense. So high speed, low latency sounds great, but it's expensive. The equipment, the monthly fees, it all adds up.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people in those rural areas, those economically disadvantaged communities, it's just going to be too much. So yeah, it makes you think, if this is the way to bridge the digital divide, how do you make it accessible to everyone? That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. Maybe government subsidies could be part of the solution, right?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, maybe different service tiers, something like that. And then there's the competition, right? Starlink isn't the only one eyeing up this Indian market. There are other players in this satellite internet game, aren't there?
Absolutely. You've got players like Geo Satellite Communications. You've got OneWeb. They've got some serious backing from Party Airtel. And then there's Amazon, right, with the Project Kuiper. They're all in the mix, all wanting a piece of this pie. And they're all competing for that precious spectrum allocation. So, all of this, it's going to impact pricing, it's going to drive innovation, and ultimately, I think it's going to determine how quickly things actually roll out.
So it's a crowded field. And with all these challenges, the competition, the cost, the security stuff, it sounds like Starlink might need to think strategically, right? Get creative. We've heard rumors about a potential partnership with Airtel, for instance. How could that kind of collaboration actually work in practice?
Well, imagine this, right? You've got Starlink with their cutting-edge satellite tech, and then you've got Airtel with this huge, on-the-ground presence. They've got fiber optic networks, they've got mobile towers, they've got an established customer base. If they team up, that could be a win-win. Starlink could use that existing infrastructure to get things up and running much faster, navigate all the logistical headaches more easily, maybe even bring costs down by sharing resources, that kind of thing. And Airtel, they get to be part of this, game-changing technology.
So it's about leveraging each other's strengths, basically.
Exactly. Overcoming those obstacles by, joining forces.
Okay, let's look beyond India for a minute. How important is it, for Starlink to succeed in India if they want to achieve their global ambitions? How big of a deal is this?
I think it's a really big deal. If they can crack it in India, a market this big and this complex, it's a huge win, right? It validates their technology, it shows they can scale, and it opens doors to other emerging markets. Think about countries like Bangladesh, Turkey, Morocco, places facing similar connectivity challenges. Success in India, it sends a message. It proves that this stuff works, and it gives them leverage with regulators, with potential customers in those other markets.
And I mean, they're not starting from scratch, are they? They've already got the infrastructure up there ready to go. Over 7,000 satellites. That's mind-blowing.
It is. That whole network of low Earth orbit satellites, that gives them a massive advantage. They can offer global coverage and they can deploy services in new regions really quickly as soon as they get the thumbs up from regulators. And I think their ultimate goal, it's clear, right? Connect the unconnected, bridge that digital divide globally. And India is a crucial piece of that puzzle.
All right, let's recap. Key takeaways. What have we learned?
Lay it on me.
Okay, so it looks like Starlink is on the verge of getting that regulatory approval in India. The market there, it's massive, especially in those rural areas that are, desperate for better internet. But there are some serious challenges, right? We've talked about security, the cost of the service, and the fact that they've got some fierce competition. And then there's this whole idea of partnering up maybe with Airtel to make things happen faster.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. They're close, but it's not over yet. Getting that approval, that's just the first step. To really succeed in India, to see widespread adoption, they're going to have to navigate some pretty tricky waters. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds.
It is. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. Think about this, okay? Starlink coming to India, it's not just about, people browsing the internet more or streaming videos. It's potentially about a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Hundreds of millions of people suddenly having access to education, healthcare information, being able to participate in the global economy in a way they couldn't before. I mean, what other impacts, things we haven't even thought of yet, might come from this level of connectivity? It's a big question. And it really makes you think about the future of internet access, globally and how it's going to shape our world.
It does. It's definitely something to ponder, that's for sure.